Hi, I'm Stacey Ciceron, expert hairstylist and creator of Textured Hair Professionals. On this video, I'll be sharing tips and tricks I use over the last 16 years to manage and care for textured hair. Stay tuned, I can't wait to show you how it's done. As you can see, my model Sharlene has multiple textures of hair. It ranges from a loose wave around the face, going tighter and tighter to a tight coil in the nape of her neck. This is so common amongst people who wear their hair naturally curly and naturally textured. I like to make sure that the hair is fully saturated with water before I apply any type of product. This makes sure that the product goes on nice and smooth without any heavy buildup. Today I'm going to be using a blowout cream. What I love about the blow dry cream is three things. Number one, it's like a leave-in conditioner. Number two, it helps me to detangle the hair. And number three, it's an excellent thermal protectant. But I rub it together to make sure it's nice and emulsified so it flows nice and smooth and evenly throughout the hair. I then take a wide tooth comb and starting from the nape of the neck, I start to comb through and make sure that the hair is detangled. This also makes sure that the product is evenly distributed to the hair. I then take the hair into 4 sections. I love working with clean sections because it just gives me more control over the hair. But I'm careful to leave a 1-inch horizontal panel in the nape of the neck. That is going to be the section that I use to do the actual blow drying. I'm going to start the blow dry process with that 1-inch panel at the nape of the neck. I also used really strong section clips. When dealing with textured hair, you can't use flimsy clips that are going to break on you. So once the hair is clean and sectioned away, I start with the blow dry process. So I place that large paddle brush right at the root area of the hair and gently slide it down the shaft to make sure that those curls are elongated and that the airflow of the dryer is going to dry it nice and smooth. So once the hair is stretched out, I take the blow dryer with the nozzle and point it toward the root of the hair and make sure that I'm drying the outer perimeter of the hair. And what this does, it allows me to take a larger section of hair to dry. Have you ever noticed that sometimes in the blow dry can take an hour or an hour and a half on textured or curly hair? This technique allows you to dry larger sections of hair. So I apply, once the hair is stretched out with the flat paddle brush, I use the airflow of the blow dryer and the concentrator nozzle to use that air to seal the cuticle and dry the root area of the hair. Now I work with 3 sections when I'm blow drying the hair. I work from the root to the mid shaft and from the mid shaft all the way to the ends. The root, the mid shaft, and the ends. This assures that the hair is not being over dried and damaged by the heat of the blow dryer. So once I place the large flat paddle brush at the root, I gently elongate and stretch those curls so I can use the airflow of the blow dryer and the concentrator to direct that airflow down the hair shaft, locking in the moisture and sealing the hair cuticles, which gives you shine and lots of body. So once the root area and the perimeter of the section is dry, I then direct the flow down to the mid shaft. And here's a little trick. What I do is lightly release the curls If it stays straight, then I know that section is dry, and I move my way down the shaft toward the ends. I then flip the brush and have the hair go on top of the brush and use the airflow of the dryer and the nozzle to gently smooth down the rest of the hair toward the ends. So next, I take another 1-inch panel, horizontal panel, up the back of the head, and I follow the same steps. I take the blow dryer, the concentrate of the nozzle, and I use the airflow to do all the work. It's not us doing all the work. It's the work of the blow dryer and the nozzle, okay? You're using that airflow to seal the cuticle shut by using the airflow and pointing it downward, because remember, the cuticle layer is pointing down, okay? So we're using the airflow to seal the cuticle. That's locking in the moisture, giving the hair tons of shine. And I'm drying the outer perimeter of each section. Again, that helps us to take larger sections so that we can dry more hair and complete that blow dry process much quicker. So we're actually cutting the time in half. So we're using the airflow, we dry the root, and then we dry the mid shaft, and then we flip the brush and smooth out the ends. It's important that you follow the air all the way to the ends. It's so important for you to follow that airflow of the dryer all the way down. After completing the back section, I then choose either the left or right side to work on. Okay? Once you get on the side, you're going to follow the same steps. But what I like to do is make sure that the hairline is smooth before I go into the sections. So while the hair is still damp, I just lightly elongate the curls around the hairline, which tend to be a little shorter sometimes. I elongate those shorter hairs while it's still damp, and I use the airflow of the dryer and the nozzle to smooth the cuticle layer, to smooth that hairline back. And you're just spending a very short amount of time doing that. That's just so it doesn't dry wavy and you don't have to come back and overdo it with the flat iron. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing. I'm drying the outer perimeter of the section, making sure the roots are dry, making sure that the airflow of the dryer is pointing down, keeping that cuticle layer down and sealed, locking in the moisture, the shine, and the body and the bounce. Follow the airflow down with the dryer and the concentrated nozzle. The airflow is flowing down the hair from the root to the mid shaft to the ends. Make sure you follow that airflow right through the ends. It's so important to make sure that those ends are sealed. Once again, you don't want to have to overdo it with the flat iron. So the majority of the work is actually happening during the blow dry process. This is how you're going to safely blow dry and flat iron the hair while minimizing heat damage. That is a major concern with people who wear their hair textured or curly. They're afraid to do the blow dry and flat iron process because they don't want to get heat damage. And what heat damage is simply you are losing your curl pattern through the use of heating tools like a blow dryer, curling iron, or flat iron. There are bonds that are broken that just cannot be replaced. So the damage when the hair is going from curly to straight, you're losing that curl pattern. So if you had a tight coil and you have heat damage, you no longer have that tight coil. It's a little more stretched out. And the hair does not snap back to its original state with the heat damage. So again, I'm just going to explain heat damage. Heat damage is the loss of your hair's natural curl pattern. And it's usually because of the use of excessive heat from the blow dryer, flat iron, or curling iron. If you properly blow dry the hair on a medium setting and you use the techniques that I'm telling you about with the blow dryer and the concentrator nozzle down the hair shaft and do most of the work with the blow drying, you rely less on the heat of the flat iron. The flat iron is just a finishing tool. It is not meant for you to do all the work with the flat iron. So I'm going to continue up the head. I'm going to continue the process of blow drying the hair, taking those 1-inch panels, and I wanted to talk about the size of the panels. There's something called density. That's the amount of hair per square inch on the person's head. If the hair is more dense, you're going to want to take smaller sections. Okay, so 1 inch is great for Sharlene's hair because I'm able to still get the airflow of the dryer through the hair the way I need to. So now I'm on the other side of the head and just putting these finishing touches, once again using the same techniques. We're using the airflow of the dryer, which is super important to seal the cuticle, locking in the moisture, giving you tons of shine. Using the airflow at the root first, drying the outer perimeter. And on the other side, you want to do the same thing. While the hair is still damp around the hairline, just stretch out those little hairs. Stretch out the baby hairs. They might be adult hairs, but we're going to call them baby hairs because they're a little bit shorter than the rest of the hair on the head. We're going to stretch those out and just hit it with the blow dryer and the nozzle. Don't overdo it. We just need to stretch it out so that it blends in with the rest of the hair. And we're going to take those panels right up to the top, drying the root, the mid shaft, then the ends. Remember to work in those 3 sections on the hair. That's going to make sure that all the hair is consistently and evenly dried, consistently and evenly smooth. You can trust me. I know what I'm talking about here. So I am taking the airflow from the nozzle and the blow dryer and pointing it downwards, drying the outer perimeter of the roots, drying the outer perimeter of the mid shaft, and making sure that I seal those ends all the way down with the brush. I am now going to take the brush and do a leafing technique that I learned from the Paul Mitchell Academy, and that's when you just scoop the hair with the paddle brush. It gives you just enough tension where I'm able to blend the sections together. I call it marrying the sections together. Scooping the hair with the brush, it's blending those sections together, making it one uniform and seamless section of hair. Once we have completely dried the hair, I then use a thermal protectant spray. I love using thermal protectant spray because it protects the hair from the heat of the flat iron. And what I do is I stand about 6 to 12 inches away from the hair, and I just extend the hair and lift it up and spray the product on, making sure that it's going from the root all the way to the tip, being careful not to saturate the hair too much with the product because it can be a little bit heavy, and depending on the hair type, it can weigh the hair down. So you just want to always start out with a little bit. Always start out with a little bit, and always start out 6 to 12 inches away from the hair, spraying it nice light strokes, making sure that the product is all over the hair. And what I do is take my rat tail comb or my large tooth comb, and I comb through to make sure that that thermal protectant spray is distributed evenly throughout the hair, just like I did with the blowout cream. So I part out 2 sections in the front and 1 large section in the back. Once I get that large section in the back parted off, I then take a 1/2 inch horizontal section in the back and then twist the hair out of the way. Now in the beginning of the video, I mentioned taking a 1-inch section. That's because I wanted to take larger sections to speed up that blow dry process. But when you're flat ironing hair, depending on the degree of smoothness, it's how you want to decide what size section you want to take. So put it like this: the tinier the slice of hair, or the thinner the section, is the straighter or smoother that you want to get the hair with the flat iron. Does that make sense? If you want the hair straighter, you have to take smaller sections. If you want the hair straight, you take thinner slices. For Sharlene's hair, 1/2 inch is just enough for me, because I want to maintain that body that's in the hair and not make it too bone straight. I use a technique called the chase method. So this is when you're going to need your heat-resistant rat tail comb and your flat iron. The heat-resistant rat tail comb is going to make sure that the hair is being evenly fed into the flat iron, ensuring that you only have to do 1 stroke with the flat iron, or 2 the most. You'll see what I'm doing here. I place the heat-resistant rat tail comb in, and then the flat iron right in front of it, and follow it all the way down the hair shaft. And just like with the blow dryer, you want to make sure that you follow that flat iron right through toward the ends. Do not open up that flat iron until the ends of the hair are completely through it. So I go in, take a section of hair from the nape area, and place the flat iron right in as close as I can to the root without, don't burn your client now. Don't burn your client. So you get as close as you can to the root without burning them, and you put that rat tail comb right behind the flat iron, and you follow it all the way through to the ends. Repeat this process until you finish flat ironing the entire head. I place the heat-resistant rat tail comb and then the flat iron right in front of it, and follow it all the way down the hair shaft, all the way to the end, making sure that you lock in that shine. This is when you're going to get the most shine out of the hair. It's something about using that extra tool that really seals the deal. So I'm moving up the head, working my way from the nape to the crown, using those 1/2 inch sections. Now let me just tell you, you're going to need to be patient. Good results take time. Not too much time, but you want to make sure that each section is consistent with size, and the heat on the flat iron is consistent temperature. So I'm putting the comb in, put the flat iron right in front of it, and follow it all the way down the hair shaft. And now I'm going to work on the front of the head. Taking those same thin slices from the hairline back, I part 1/2 inch section, and now the hairs in the front tend to be a little finer, so your actual slice can be a little bit thicker if you'd like. And you do the same thing. You get as close as you can to the root, get your heat-resistant comb in, and follow it all the way down to the ends. Make sure the ends go through the flat iron. I can't say that enough. That's going to ensure that you have a really polished look Repeat that process up the right side or left side, whatever side you choose to work on first, and repeat it on the other side, taking those thin half-inch sections all the way to the top. And there you have it, our finished look. Curly, textured hair transformed to sleek, straight hair without the heat damage. I hope you all learned something here today. If you'd like to find out more about the videos and future classes, make sure you check us out at StaceyCiceron.com or TexturedHairProfessionals.com.